Hey, everybody who's not there yet, but you will be in a little while. Welcome to the Heathen Drive-By. And today, got a got a guy here who, well, I think he shovels horse manure quite a bit, but he's a frustrated atheist. And let's see if we can get him up to 100 subscribers here. Tell us a little bit about yourself there.
Well, I'm born and bred Texan.
Texas.
Yes,
All right.
lived here almost all my life. I lived in Alabama for a little bit because I was in the army, and I was living out in Alabama while I was out there, and then came back and uh, well, that's about it with that story. But yeah, I pretty much do the YouTubing just pretty much in my spare time, and I uh I don't know what else to say. I never know what to say in these interview type of things.
It's hard. It's hard. um,
Right.
I was gonna ask you about your last video. You did something on fasting for what is that guy that you did that you were
Uh
responding to?
Spirit science.
Oh,
Yes, they
geez, that's right. I couldn't. It was on the tip of my tongue, and it reminds me a bit of Orange or whatever, the same kind of animation or whatever. But hey,
mm, yeah, the spirit science are really bad with their woo science stuff. And what made me decide to do a video debunking their fasting crap was because they it wasn't had anything to do with really the rest of the fasting part. What really got me was the dry fasting. That was actually the first time I heard it whenever I looked at their video. But they sat there and said that he's like, there's this urban myth that goes out saying that that the human body cannot go any longer than 3 days without water, and they're like, that's not true because you can go longer. And I'm like, well, I do know that 3 days is usually what they say, and that's just because if you're stranded, usually you'd be stranded like a place where most likely you are going to lose a lot of water
yeah,
through
yeah.
sweating and all that.
Dehydrated part is probably the biggest thing that you got to worry about with
Oh,
anything like that.
God, yes. And so, with them pretty much promoting that people should go prolonged periods without water, I was like, no, 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 no. I was like, I can't have that going on because the human body, in the right circumstances, and I'm talking these have to be so precise. You could go 7 days without water, but after that, that is like you're pushing the limits. And for people to want to go longer without water or try to tell people that they can go longer without water is like, no, don't don't be peddling your woo shit like that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and
So I. Oh, go ahead.
well, all that woo science out there. I mean, from crystals to and this when you say spirit science, it's like really you're actually gonna. I mean, obviously, conflate spirituality and science. I mean,
Yes.
there's no evidence of the spirit.
Right. There's no evidence of any of this stuff, and it makes it funny because they like to sit there and say, oh well, there may not be. We're not saying this for sure, but then when they bring forth this stuff, it's like as if they're saying we're not saying for sure, but it's for sure, and it's like, you doing what?
Oh
Like
man,
actually the way I got introduced into spirit science was actually watching the Armored Skeptic. He had one thing where they did where he sits there and says, you keep saying that this is all speculation and whatnot, but the way you were talking as if it is the truth, as if it's the 100% truth here. So it's getting kind of hard to believe that you're being very skeptical about this.
Yeah, they
And
got
so
a
I was like,
completely different idea on what what science is.
yes, they do. And one of the biggest things is they were saying, one of my favorite Armored Skeptic videos was with about spirit science was he was debunking their Atlantis crap, and he there's one part where he says, every time you say Thoth, you are actually referring to this guy here because this one particular guy had said that he was the embodiment of Thoth, and everything that they were saying was what this guy had already said. And so he's like, so you're not even, you know, you're not even quoting Thoth here. You're quoting this guy here, and it's some old guy who's balding and whatnot. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Not many other words for it.
There's not. I mean, there's you really can't. It's like, wow, that's just so great. Y'all can do such great research. That's it. Once I decided to actually look into their videos. There's another one that I want to do because they were talking about the tarot cards, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll have to actually research into the whole entire tarot card things, and I don't know if that. I think that might be a little too much woo for me, but I might end up doing it anyways. I don't know yet.
Mrs. Snarky says that Martyrbird does a better takedown of spirit science, in her opinion.
Who?
Mrs. Snarky.
Oh, I know, but she said who took
Oh,
who did
Martimer.
a better
I'm
takedown.
sorry.
Oh, okay. I might have to look at Mortimer's.
He's really,
I
really good. Really good.
I did watch Sir Six, the Inequit. The I can never pronounce his name all the way through. But he's the guy who looks like whose avatar is a Templar Knight.
Sick.
Sir Sick, yeah. I saw he was doing one on crystals, and he barely scratched the surface of it. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a part two on this." I just watched that one like I think today, but I like to watch all these people do the spirit science takedowns, and so I might have to look at Mortimer's.
Yeah, he does a good job on there. Yeah, she's absolutely right on that.
Good. He probably did a way better job than I did, but
You know, I
I
honestly
don't.
I don't even think I watched the Armored Skeptic. I haven't watched him in like 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. No. One of my favorite things is because when Armored Skeptic did his was it was he was he has so much attitude when he said these things. Like there's one part where they were talking about how the consciousness creates people to be bigger or some shit like that, and they took a picture of the of some ancient Egyptian thing, and he says, "Look at these statues." Talking about the statues, saying that were probably at the like fourth or fifth level of consciousness because they're so tall. And he stops and points at and gets to the thing. He goes, these aren't to scale. He goes, if they are that big, why is it that the doorway to their temple is so small? They can't even fit inside their own goddamn temple. And it was like, oh my god, that is hilarious. But I definitely want to check out Mortimer.
That's an oxymoron, spirit science, if you ask me.
Oh god, yes.
Uh,
Just by watching the few that I've seen of theirs, they are definitely a big, large oxymoron.
I can't tell the difference between his avatar or character or animation compared to Bit of Orange. They're just about the same thing, aren't they?
I mean, there's not much. I've only seen a bit of Orange through of course through Vice Rhino. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name at the moment, but yeah, I've only seen a bit of Orange through Vice Rhino, and even then I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my god, this guy is not. This guy is special.
I've been trying to get Vice Rhino on the show for a little while now. We just haven't had the time or haven't coordinated anything to work out. But hopefully I'll get him going on. I got Iseth the Original coming on next Monday.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that should be really.
she's.
I'm really excited for that. I love her. I love her stuff so much.
Oh yeah, I think I've liked Logic stuff, and I watched a lot of Logic, and then I saw a lot of Isaac's videos, and I ended up starting watching them, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to subscribe to her because these are pretty good videos.
Oh, she's so hilarious.
Oh God, yes. And
Logic, he's not too bad.
no, Logic. Oh yeah, he's all
Not
right, I
bad.
guess, but yeah, no, but they both, but when they I love it whenever she teams up with someone because the one that I like this one video I saw of her teaming up with say um who was it? Godless Engineer. He's like, come on. She's like, nope, don't want to do it. He's like, come on. He's like, nope. She's like, I got cookies. They're red velvet. I hear that's your favorite. And she's like, ooh, I'm coming.
And then she got dissed on it. She didn't get her cookies. I don't think.
Oh man, that's not even cool.
No, John's in trouble in that one. I think.
Right. And as he should be for that kind of nonsense.
I know. You can't just hold a carrot out there and not let them have it.
Right.
Or in this case, cookies.
Right.
And, I think Isaac does not get enough credit for how much she actually does help build the community too. She doesn't really say that she's doing any collaborations or whatever, but she's done so many of them, and so many people have gotten a big jump from her. I don't think she gets any credit for that, and I think she deserves it. So Isaac, you deserve it.
Anybody who does a lot of these collabs that help, especially the little guys out, should really get a lot of credit for what they do.
Yeah,
because that's like how can I put it? It's just something that's very very awesome that they don't really have to do at all, but they're like, this is our community. Yeah, let's help them out.
Yep.
And so it's amazing.
To me, it's not the messenger that matters so much. It's the message, and there's so few atheists that we need more of us to spread the word about.
Oh, of course.
About the call it the bullshit. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that is a big thing. Is not only for the fact that there's so few of us, but because there are some of us who can't get out and spread the message.
Exactly. Yeah. You
certain circumstances. Right there. And so those of us who can speak out should. And that's what we're doing. Like even in my personal life, on my personal Facebook and whatnot, whenever somebody tries to bring up the whole entire thing about people who people who go to hell because of this or reason or that reason, I always sit there and make little jabs in there saying things like, well, first you have to prove there's a hell in order to be able to say that they're going there. And I just always, make these little jabs to get someone to take the bait. Usually though, because these people are the types to go into spirited intellectual debates. They mainly like to sit there and say, oh, well, my God's real. How do you know that? Just because I can feel it. And it's like, so they don't ever actually go for it. But I'm not going to stop doing it because I do know that one day someone is going to take the bait and somebody's going to watch that back and forth and they'd be like, wow, this guy's making a lot of sense. Or, these people who are on the fence about it will be like, wow, this guy, he's getting me to actually think maybe I should go and look into this instead of just kind of being complacent with where I'm at.
Another freaking atheist said, sounds like Johnny's guest is a frustrated atheist.
Oh, God, yes. Yes. And fuck that guy, too, because, he's a dick.
Well, tell me a little bit about your story. Well, were you always an atheist? Did you have a conversion story?
Uh, well, I said this on actually on Don's channel. But what happened was there was really not a big conversion story for me. I mean, it's not something like something extremely bad happened that shocked me. Like say for instance like GI story, but I was raised as a Southern Baptist, and we went to church every Wednesday and Sundays, and in our Sunday best, boys wore their slacks and their button ups tucked in, and girls wore their dresses or skirts on Sundays, and then on Wednesdays is more relaxed wear. Um, and then it's just over time, right, I was not feeling it, but I was like, just with time, I might start to feel the feeling that all these Christians keep saying they have. I know I'm gonna feel it, and so I just waited and waited and waited, and I eventually had all these little different things happen. Like my uncle, he had told me the whole entire idea about the so many different uh, versions of the Bible,
Uh-huh.
and he told me this story about how we have a relative that decided he was going to make his own version of the Bible, and everyone's heard of the entire the story about how it's easier to fit a camel through the eye of a needle than it is to get a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. Well, my relative, he decided that whenever he went to go translate this, back in those times, whenever you would enter a city, they had this little shape that looked like the eye of a needle as you entered in through the city. And a camel with a full pack on its back couldn't fit through the city, through the city entrance. And so you'd have to take down the pack and whatnot. And so he did little things like that. And so that was one thing. I was like, well, yeah, there's so many. I was thinking to myself, yeah, there's so many different translations of translations of translations, but it's all pretty much the same. Yeah, I can still keep my faith, and little other things. I also brought up the fact that whenever Harry Potter first came out, I was a real big fan. When I saw the commercial, and I was 11, and my sister's like, it's a book, right? It's a book, right? And I said, I didn't even know that they made movies out of books. And she was like, yeah. She's like, tell you what, I'll take you to go see it if you read the book. And so I read the book, and it took me 10 chapters to finally get into the book itself. But I eventually did, and I absolutely loved it and started reading every single book out of the series. Well, my aunt, she used to homeschool us as kids, and it wasn't like a Kent Hovind style homeschooling. It was, she actually had to, we actually had to be in compliance with the state on what we should know at the ages that we were at. And so but she did incorporate, a little bit of Bible study and things like that in there. And so I had a Harry Potter book on my desk, and this particular day she had said something and pretty much saying how anybody who reads or whatever who likes the Harry Potter series were going to hell. And I was like, I kept thinking to myself that this book cannot be so bad, because I mean it made my imagination grow. And so I was like, there's no way something could be that bad if it did something that good to a kid. And but I was like, what? This is one thing that is probably not a deal breaker. I could still keep my faith. And so I kept the faith. And then it wasn't until actually I came back from being living in Alabama, whenever I met for the first time, met my brother-in-law, who was an atheist. And that first started on my journey to atheism. I was like, I'd looked into things, and I was like, I started actually thinking about it, and I was like, this is pretty much me. You know, everything that the atheism is the whole entire lack of belief. I've gotten to the point where I lacked the belief, and so I was like, there's no way I could turn back from that then. And then he showed me Zeitgeist, which is such a such a terrible movie. And I watched it and I thought it was true until somebody pointed out the errors of it to me, and I was like, fuck. And from then on, I decided I wasn't going to let. I was not going to let. I still had, since whenever I first watched it, I guess I had the theist mentality. Cling to the first bit of information you hear.
Yeah.
And so then whenever that was pointed out that it was live, from then on I decided I'm not going to just cling to the first bit of information on anything.
Um.
I'm going to actually be skeptical about it.
Sorry to interrupt you here, but everybody in the chat's wondering what you're doing, and I'm wondering too. Are you like inseminating livestock back there or something?
Oh, no, my two dogs. I have a Chiweenie and a oh crap, I forgot what he is. Oh, Boston Terrier. They're both playing tug of war right now.
Okay. Now I can picture it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're playing tug of war, and so I'm
Here's
gonna
this might
go ahead.
surprise you, but I was thinking about it when you were talking about how you went to church Wednesday and Sunday or whatever, and I'm thinking about how many times I went to church, and I can count it on both of my hands. How many times I went to church?
Yeah, I know quite a few people who are like who were like, oh, we didn't ever go to church, or we very rarely went to church, but
Yeah,
my aunt was so big into it, so we went
I would be
every
a
Sunday and Monday.
fifth generation atheist on my mom's side. So
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. I'm probably out of my family. God, I'm probably the first.
not nobody else in your family is
Well, the thing
lost
is
faith.
some of them I don't they don't go to church, but they still claim Christian. They don't go. I mean, I know they don't read their Bible. They don't do follow the Christian way of life, but they would still classify themselves as having a belief in some higher being of some sort. The only one who calls herself a Christian would be my sister, who I live right next door to. Who we don't ever talk about it together because she, the me and her husband, we can sit there and argue until we're blue in the face about it, and then be like, okay, well, I'll see you later. Be like, all right, bud, see you later. And then, but with her, she just is so she clings on to the faith, and so she really holds on dear to it, and so it's like I just can't because she gets extremely angry, and she starts gish galloping whenever I bring up certain things, and she'll go on to this or go on to that. She wants because the one and only time that I actually ever talked to her about it, um, I got her to the point where she said, "You just have to have faith," and I said, "Can you not believe anything based on faith alone?" And so after that, she just completely shut down, and so I was like, "Okay,
that's
we're not going
that's
anywhere."
that is a typical because I've been an atheist my whole life, and whenever it gets into that part, once you corner them into something, it's bam, they just that gish glop is a good tactic, and and it doesn't matter if they're William Lane Craig or somebody that just is religious that you know of, a friend of yours, that they all do the same freaking thing.
Always.
It's it yeah that's why I can definitely say he doesn't exist. I don't think he exists.
Yeah. One of the biggest reasons why I don't think he exists it would be probably because of the fact that there's too much evidence to support his non-existence as far as the fossil record, as far as what we know of in the natural world, to sit there and say that all this had to have a magical being to put it all there and just walk away. Like he only reveals himself to a bunch
I
of
I was just about
illiterate people,
I was just about to
and
say
then
what is
oh,
going
go
to
ahead.
prove that he doesn't exist, or would come the closest to proving he doesn't exist, is probably neuroscience,
Oh yeah,
because
all the
it's all made up in our mind, and that we're going to figure out how our mind works eventually, completely someday, unless we destroy ourselves first. But
right. Um, and if we don't, then well, here in about what is it, 3.4 billion years from now, the Andromeda Galaxy is going to collide with the Milky Way galaxy.
that would be great.
I know, right?
I wish I could be
Because,
there.
right? Just to see what, and it's only because I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because it can, there could be so many different things that could happen. Like, for instance, the collision could be to the point to where nothing really bad happens to the planets themselves, or we could end up every planet could end up like Swiss cheese, or a big kind of like implosion could happen. It's so many different things could happen. It'd be fun to actually watch what does happen.
Okay, we got a couple of questions from the chat here.
Oh, okay.
Another freaking atheist asked, well, are your eyes really blue? That was his first question.
No.
Okay, that was easy. Um, the next one is Brian Stevens asks, what frustrates the frustrated atheist the most in YEC, which is Young Earth Creationists?
Oh, let's see here. In young Earth creationism, the one thing that would frustrate me the most is probably the whole entire line of how the Grand Canyon was formed. That's probably got to be one of my most frustrating things I hear. I actually had a debate with Nephilim Free about this, and I tried to tell him how the Grand Canyon was actually done, and he got to the point where I guess I was making too much sense, because he says, look at the rocks, they're all pointed to the sky. How does that happen from just erosion? And I'm like, I'm I'm sorry, what?
Oh, there's a good question. Another freaking atheist. If you could add one thing to schools, what subject or topic would it be?
If I were to what?
If you were to add a subject or another topic or subject to school activity, what subject or topic would it be? If you could add one.
If I could add a subject to school, like as in high school, or
School in general, I'm guessing.
um, it would probably be if I had to. I don't know, because it all depends, because like for instance, if I were in charge of how high schools ran, I would run it more like how the private schools are ran. In which case, you sit down each individual person, ask them what they want to do with the rest of their life, and if they say, I want to do this, I want to do that, then you kind of focus a curriculum around that. Um, so, but as far as topics alone go, or subjects, I would probably say a, I would probably say a geology class, because I personally have or at least a once over of geology alone, because the geology, you can learn a lot from how the earth is through geology, and how things that were formed over time with the study of it.
Stephen Ballmer
And
would love your answer there.
do what?
Stephen Ballmer would love that answer that you gave there.
Yeah.
Brian Stevens gave a great answer. Actually, he said critical thinking in lower grades, and I think that's wow. Yeah, I think that
Yeah, and lower. Yeah. Oh God, yes, yes. In lower grades, we should have kids have more critical thinking skills.
I think everybody should.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they don't. And it's
No,
sad.
we just leave it to the religios.
Yeah. Is there any more questions?
I'm looking. I don't see any more. No, I don't see any questions. All right, that's it. Good night.
All right, all right. Okay, let's wrap it up, guys. We're done. We're done for the day.
They is in the chat.
Oh, hello, they.
How you doing, they? They did say I would add how to shill for fun and profit.
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect.
Oh, lordy.
Oh, the Giles Island. Okay, Giles Island asks, "Am I sexy?" And of course you are. I mean,
Of course he is.
if I was gay, you would be the guy that I would be after, and totally.
GI.
No, I'm not gay.
is
I think you're sexy.
GI is the sexiest. I mean, look at all that. Look at all that straw that makes that man.
I mean, how can you go wrong there?
Right.
So, how many hours do you spend cleaning horses? And that's why the show started a little late today.
Yeah, no, I don't clean horses. I feed them. We do everything.
Okay.
They're our horses. But it just depends. Sometimes we can be there a little bit later than normally. It just all depends on how easy they're to bring up. Like today, we fed them. We had to deworm them, and while my fiance had started cleaning the stalls themselves, I brushed them because she has a big thing about brushing them because otherwise they look homeless, and she does not like that. And so
I get it.
yeah, so we do all that, and sometimes depending on the day, we'll even help the people because the girl who we have who owns or who's boarding out for or letting us board there, she sometimes would be out there, like, say, cleaning or dumping the muck buckets out in the pasture, and so we'll go out there and help her. I'll go out there and help her dump them and things like that. But so it just all depends. I mean, it's definitely not something you just do at once every so often. You have to make sure they're fed every day. So we go out there normally at a normal facility. You need to go out there. If you're just going out there to feed and turn out or let in, you need to go out there at least twice a day. Some people will stay hours out there because they'll do things like they'll lunge them, which is just making them run around in a circle to make sure that they're fit and good. And then some people will ride their horses and whatnot. I haven't ridden in a minute because normally I'm busy at work. My shifts are 12 hours and sometimes even 16-hour long. So so I don't have time a lot to ride or anything. And it's been so hot out here, and my fiance tends to get too overheated sometimes, so I don't want to push her too much.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, oh, go ahead.
You're gonna have to now just take your time and think about this one now. Do scarecrows have butts?
Ooh, let's see here. Do scarecrows
Take your time.
have
Take your time.
butts? I'm gonna say that I don't think I've ever depantsed a scarecrow before, but I'm gonna say yes, only because, well, I mean, they're scarecrows. They have to have butts.
Yeah, I guess I've never stuffed one.
I've helped stuffed ones, so I mean they have them. They're just made of straw.
Hey, spooky bed hair.
Hey, spooks.
Why? Deacon Birdman asked, "Why so frustrated?"
Well, I kind of went in a little bit of this. It's really the name has kind of morphed over time. It evolved, if you will. Um, it started because um, I was just frustrated at all the different claims I kept hearing, not only on YouTube but on Facebook and in life in general. And so I first started off with a Facebook page and under the same name. And I was like, I just started doing little different things. Like I was going through, what was it? I was going through some of the fallacious arguments, and I would also, do all these different other little things that people tend to normally say that atheists can't answer for or whatever. And I also did this one little segment that might end up doing video series on it. Some people have said that they sounded interesting, but I did one where it was called Massacre Throughout the Ages, where I was breaking down every massacre that had ever occurred, and just giving the actual facts of them, so that way there's no doubt that this wasn't done by Christians, or this wasn't done by religious people. So that way people couldn't actually say that. They'd be like, look, this is the actual facts. I'm sorry, but this is what it says. And so then I eventually got on YouTube just by just watching videos, and I created since I created an account or an email for the Frustrated Atheist webpage or Facebook page. I used that same email to set up a YouTube account, and I just started watching people so much, and then I was like, and then whenever I got this job where I started to work a lot more hours and be so be have nothing really to do for 12 hours a day. I was like, screw it, let's do this. But as I've gotten through YouTube and just watching the channels and watching different things, the frustration is stemmed from not only just the claims and the what we couldn't answer and things like that, but to just a lot of different things in general. Like one of the things that I'm incredibly frustrated with is the fact that we have people on the who are being kicked out here in America out of their own homes just for not having a faith, just because they don't have the faith of their parents. And then you have these people who are on the other side of the world who are getting imprisoned and even killed for not having faith in their faith. And so it really gets all added on together, and it all just gets overwhelmingly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I heard all these. I've heard this. This was one other YouTuber kind of came up or whatever again. And I got into a little bit of a tough with him, but he's an atheist, but he thinks that religious doctrine should be used or something like that. I'm not even sure exactly what his argument is, but I keep thinking of, well, you're going off of what you think of your localized community or whatever. And that's where he's kind of stands with that. I mean, I just don't think
Yeah,
religion. I mean, I consider myself an anti-theist under the definition of that religion is harmful to society as a whole,
yeah,
and uh, he basically he thinks that yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about it because I'm
yeah.
starting to get pissed off at that guy again.
Yeah, me personally, a lot of people, they try to um, rationalize it by saying, well, we have, all these religions that do all these different things within the community, and it's like, yes, but everything that they do within the community can be done by secular means alone, and we don't have to preach about it. We
Oh,
we
we don't do
just
honor
do
killings.
it. Yeah, we
I
don't
mean,
do that.
that's kind of a secular idea to not do honor killings.
Yeah, but people. I mean, but people who they'll sit there and say things like, oh, well, look at these Christians. They go out and build these hospitals, and they do this and they do that. It's like, well, we do the same thing. It's just that we don't have to have a faith to tell us to do this.
Well,
We
one
just
of his
do it.
things in his argument is people need the supernatural element to get motivated, and it's like, what the fuck? That's what I
Yeah,
gotta say
that
about that.
that, 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 that makes no sense whatsoever. No.
No, because we're not going to be motivated if we don't. I'll tell you what. Like I said, I'm a fifth generation atheist. None of us needed any freaking God to motivate us for anything or supernatural for that matter. So he's wrong there. Period. Sorry, I'm getting
Uh,
frustrated.
yeah.
I'm a frustrated
Do you need
atheist.
to look? All I'm going to say is I've said this several times. I do rent out my name for a small fee.
Oh, now we're off on that tangent. Where
Right?
were we?
Oh, I don't know. Um, we were talking about what made me frustrated. That was one of
Ah,
the
yes.
chats, the chat questions. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. um, it just, like I said, over time, it's just kind of things keep adding on to it and adding on to it, and it's like, okay, this is also why I get frustrated, and this is why I get frustrated, and this and this and this, and so it's just, like I said, it's evolved over time.
Yeah.
One thing I am not frustrated with is this the atheist YouTube community. They're so amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Everyone's just so great.
Oh, like I said, there's probably it has to do with we're all looking for a community too, and I think we understand that we need that. But it's like an unwritten rule or a principle, basically, and if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah,
That
because I mean, humans are social creatures,
yeah.
and
Oh
even
yeah, there
though
you have it.
yeah, so we tend to look for the um, community type of thing, and we find it in just about anything. And for us, it happens to be on YouTube, and it's just they're all so amazing. Um, they do a lot for we do a lot for each other, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I just love it.
And well, uh, you know what? Before I even knew about the atheist community, that's what I did anyway. That's in my nature, I guess. But
Yeah,
maybe that's
well,
what
that's
makes us
good,
atheists.
right? Oh lordy. So, is there any questions you have?
I I think I've got all my questions answered. I don't see any other questions, and I
It can
actually
be anything mundane. It could be
um
anything about me, the channel, anything.
um. Well, what's your next video project plan?
Um, I've been putting off. I've been letting Twitter decide what my next videos have been. The past couple of videos, and I think I might actually go ahead and do the next creationist problem with the fossil record video. Um, and it's mainly the reason why I've been letting Twitter do it is because I am a procrastinator, and so I figure, oh well, let me just let other people decide for me, so that way I don't have to decide. And so I just kind of just been like, yeah, that'll work. Let's just do that. And but I think I'm finally gonna just go ahead and do the next video for the creationist problem with the fossil record, and then
Cool.
I might do another debunk after that, and then just kind of alternate it. I may even do. I know I'm going to do um, the history of morality, and I'm going to break it down and say where how we've gotten morality all the way back from um, all the way back from like the Stone Age all the way until now, kind of. And I'm going to break it down, going from um, Paleolithic to Neolithic, and just say, as show how that have as we've grown larger and larger populations, how our morality has shifted in time, and
Yeah.
how it's shifted throughout time as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's been written down that doesn't change.
Hmm.
At least, no. Well, that's because the universe itself changes as time goes by. So, got to adjust to that.
Hmm.
We don't know what's going to happen. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, no arbitrary or not arbitrary, objective, objective morals.
No, no, no. But the thing is a lot of people think that just because um, morality could be subjective, that we can't obtain objective truth from it.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's such a non sequitur. Come on.
Hmm. And so you've got to realize that yes, we may it may be subjective, but objective truths do exist. We do have objective truths, and we can find them within
Well,
subjective morality.
depending upon how you're defining it, if you're going with a philosophical type of objective or whatever, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, for instance, we can all say that what is good for society is things that promote the well-being of people
Yep.
and don't harm them in any way, shape, or form. And so we can then say that certain things like saving a child from drowning is objectively moral. Um, and then letting the child drown would be objectively immoral because
Well,
if we're trying to grow as a population, we need to make
but
sure
let me
that.
let me throw a monkey wrench in there. What if
Oh,
what if
go ahead.
no, that child's going to be evil?
That's just it. We don't know what the child
Well,
is,
there you
and
have it. Yeah.
so that's just as say, okay, we're going to let this child drown just in case they do turn out evil, is just that is not the way we should be thinking. Um, as time, and for all we know, the child could end up becoming evil, in which case they end up getting punished in that time when they do turn evil.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, that's probably why hell got formed, because people want some sort of justice for people that get away with doing bad things or whatever.
no, of course, and then,
I mean,
but the problem with that too is the fact that when people say, "Oh yeah, these people who don't have faith, they're going to be burning in hell," it's like, well, y'all do have these murderers who end up confessing and repenting on death row, who are now in heaven. And so, where's the justice for that? I mean, take Jeffrey Dahmer, for instance. He killed and ate people, and on his death row, he converted and became Christian, and he repented for his sins, and so now he's in heaven. So, where's the justice for that?
yeah.
And so that's whenever the monkey wrench for the theist gets thrown in my
Holy
opinion.
shit! The chat is just out of control.
What are they doing?
They're talking
I'm
about
not paying
pubic
attention.
hairs and moss and
They're talking about what?
pubic hairs, shaving pubic hairs. I don't even know. It's all over the place.
They, it's
Um,
the chat. They always do things. They
yeah.
always do
Well,
that.
you get the eye one in there. What the hell,
Right? I'm surprised they haven't talked about butt stuff with the Iowa in there.
Oh, there was a couple mentions of that. Well, didn't you
Oh,
remember we were talking about with the scarecrows have butts?
oh yeah. So that may have been where the butt stuff came in. Damn it,
Actually, I
GI.
think I am going to have to get going here, but man, I really enjoyed having a chit chat with you, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome talking with you too, Johnny.
I think we'll have to do this again sometime. I'm gonna try. I've been doing like I started out going just from Monday to Monday or whatever and doing that, but seems like I'm starting to enjoy it more and more, and I want to do more of these. So on Mondays, I think I'm going to reserve it for small YouTubers like you that have very few people
Yeah.
because I go around. That's kind of what my name is, drive by. I find YouTubers that don't have they're just starting out and try to promote them or whatever if they're good or not.
Yeah,
And
well, that's always great. That's always great. Like I
and
said, I appreciate it myself.
and if I don't have a link in the description yet. I had plenty of time, but I didn't do it. But I'll have a link to the Frustrated Atheists channel and all that when this gets up there. Go subscribe to his channel because he's doing some awesome stuff. And you know what? I wanted that. You got anything to say before I close off here?
Um, always remember that GI is into butt stuff. No matter what he says, just
I,
that's it.
you know what? And on that note, all right. Thank you, everybody. You take care, and next Monday, remember, Iseth will be here, and that's gonna be really fun. We're gonna talk about hell and how hot it is.
Oh, ooh, that sounds great.
All right, take care, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.